And it's such a great question. And I think so many people can relate, like the dealing with other people, and then also still having some issue, or not issues, but dynamics coming up, and then discerning between you and them. Yeah, I think it's such a beautiful and difficult place to be. It's beautiful because it's like a deeper and deeper you're going into no self. But it's difficult, like you say, to understand that discernment. So, to be very clear, like for most people in the society, when they have an awakening and when they begin to shift into no self, they're interacting with people with selves. And so that is a complicated dance. That is in itself inherently a complicated dance, because it's that you are sort of breaking out of the dream, and they are in the dream. So that is difficult. However, freedom is everywhere, even in these difficult situations. So even in an interaction where the other person is deeply suffering or deeply lost in the dream, it's really interesting what happens though when you put two bodies together, because energies ping pong. So if you're in front of an angry person, it can ping pong to you and then ping pong back again. Because like if you just took it from a scientific viewpoint, like we have like, I don't know, thousands or millions, I don't know how many it is, of mirror neurons. So if you're in front of someone that's angry, our body is going to mirror that anger. We can't help it. It's how we communicate, we mirror people. And then if you're an empath, you're energetically going to pick up these energies. So then it's this interesting dance that goes on between two people as well, of like, whose energy is it? Because maybe you meet somebody that's very identified with anger, and then they sort of getting angry with something you say, and then you begin to get angry, and then there's a disagreement that begins to play out. It's kind of like ping pong, like playing ping pong. And what I would suggest to you is to step back when the situation happens, allow the anger to come through your body, but to not get involved with them, to be deeply removed and rooted in the I am, or beingness, or whatever we call it, or consciousness, but not stopping the body have its anger. So what that looks like is different for everybody, but it's a feeling. So it might be that you express anger to the other person, because sometimes, if you're a healer, you might be expressing their thoughts. It's like a whole interesting display of what might happen. So there, I can't tell you what that will look like. What I can tell you is that is this removal internally from the situation. So deeply going into awareness in the situation. And the body might have all types of anger or energies, come out of it, or all types of madness come out of it. But you have to internally stay in who you are. What happens, and this isn't necessarily seeking, but what can happen in these tense energies is that you kind of get lost in the other person's story. And that's not necessarily seeking, it's a weird thing. And I sometimes get caught into this, like getting lost into the other person's story. And then it's kind of like I become them, and it's a weird thing. You have to deeply stay connected to who you are in that moment, and not allow the energy out too much, your energy of looking, of feeling out too much. But that doesn't, I'm not describing how the body could be, because maybe the body's like looking crazy to the other person, because it's all an energy dance, and everyone is so freaking suppressed in this society. If you look at animals in this society, like if I look at my beautiful Khaleesi, who's now passed now, like it was so interesting, her energy with other dogs, of how she energetically interacted with them. There's so much energy happening. And if you look at like ducks or something, I love this, like how they respond to each other. If two ducks fight, afterwards, one of them is always like having a flap and a shake. So I don't know how that looks, and that might be deeply offensive to the other person, but internally, you've got to not be in that. You've got to be deeply in I am or awareness. And that's where you've got to be. And then whether that is your karma coming out or their karma coming out, who knows what's what. And in the case, it's all God anyway. But you've got to let your body be authentic, but not get involved in, like, it's like you fall into the other person's energy, not get involved in that, and also not falling into your energy either. So there's this like removal, but still letting the body do what it does. So not suppressing the body in any way. That might make you look really crazy to other people. It doesn't fix your life, non-duality. You might be really crazy for the other person. I'm really unenlightened and really like the bad person, or like, yeah. So I'm not saying what it looks like, but it might also look like sanity as well. It's an internal discernment, like an internal, yeah. And you can feel it the next time you're interacting with people.